Welcome back to Sipas Pimmer Garage. This time we are going full straighten on the X5 suspension. You might be able to see that I'm pretty dirty and sweaty, so there's a lot of dirty work to do, so let's get started. And by the way, this video is sponsored by Autodoc, but more about that later. Okay, to start this video, let's take a quick look on what we need to do here. Everything is basically okay in here in the front, but still, if we look here, these bushings are cracked. You can see there, so it's still like fine to drive, but especially when you're braking, you can feel that these bushings are quite loose, and you can see that it's already coming off from the metal casing and everything. So yeah, those at least need to be replaced. Then all these ball joints, I think these feel okay, but based on the looks, these are like end of their life. So yeah, I will basically replace all these arms here. And then this side drive shaft, this is for some reason leaking, so I need to do something for that. On this side, this drive shaft looks dry. I think there's just some old grease there. Drive shaft itself is clean. Same thing in here. This is like really gone. You can see that it's like halfway off there. These don't look that good either, so all this will be replaced. But that's pretty much for the front. The shocks and springs, they feel good and they look good, so I won't touch those because I don't have too much extra money. Brakes are okay, I think. Yeah, these look okay. Then there's something with the exhaust. It's rattling here in the front. Yeah, maybe a little bit here rattling. I need to find out what's wrong with that. Then it sounds like it's leaking. Yeah, it's leaking here. There's the crack in the exhaust, so that needs to be replaced. By the way, this is really weird exhaust because there's no like X-pipe at all. So it's all like two pipes at the end of the car, and there's even no X-pipe in there. But yeah, I don't want to replace the wall exhaust, so I will probably weld that on there. Then if we go back here, here's something that someone has replaced these mufflers here with these kind of cheap ones. This actually sounds quite okay. I like how it sounds, but yeah, you can see that these have been totally rotten out, so I will cut this exhaust here and replace this with something better. Then on the back, we can see that the rear brakes, these need to be done something. They still have some life left in them, but yeah, I think these will be the last thing to replace if I have time. Then when driving this car, I've noticed that these rear shocks, these are like totally gone. Like half of the travel, there's nothing happening, and then it hits something and there's maybe half of the juice left inside or something. So these need to go. The springs, I think those have been replaced. Those look so good. Then of course, the common problem with these is that the rear subframe, this will rust. So I want to do something for that. Maybe sandblasting and painting. There's some sort of face rust here that I want to take care of. It is even like that rubs off with the fingers. So not much to do there, but I want to fix those before those go bad. Then if we take a look about these bushings, you can see that these are like a little bit offset, so these are not good anymore, so those need to be replaced. Then naturally these squeaky joints here, I don't know if you can see, but this has moved like that way, so this is bad, not good anymore. Same thing here, the socks, I think this is even the worst sock, this is really bad. And then same thing here, all the rubbers and the ball joints and those kind of things, those like feel okay, but I think those are really at the end of their life. So I will try to replace everything here in the back and sandblast the subframe and that kind of things. So yeah, we have a lot to do, so let's start. I think I will start with the front. I think we have even crack here on the exhaust, so yeah, it would be nice to get totally new exhaust here, but yeah, what I was going to say that let's start with the front. So let's take apart everything here and replace with the new, and then let's move to the back part of the suspension, do that, and then try to tackle the smaller things after that. okay, I thought that this would be the easiest part because there's just 2 bolts and I thought that this will just drop out, but no, it didn't. This was really tight here, so that's why I did remove this wall strut to take this off. Of course, I could hammer this in the car, but I was a little bit afraid that this shock will damage, so that's why I did remove this wall strut. But yeah, with a little bit hammering, I got that off, so that's good. At this point, I was trying to save a little bit money, so I didn't buy a whole new arm. I only have the new bushing and this ball joint here, so I still need to remove these ones and replace with the new ones. Perkele suoraan tumpeen. Before we throw in new one, let's check actually how bad these were. These rubbers here, I don't know if you can see. This is okay actually, not bad. Then this outer joint, yeah, it's not like this is not loose yet, but I can feel that this is like totally dry and really like rough to move. Like you can see here and feel that there's rust here, so this wouldn't last long. I know that this was loose, but now when I did hammer it doesn't move anymore, so that's gone now. These bushings, these are like totally off from the casing, so this needed to go the inner joint. Yeah, that feels fine, but this boot here, this was almost torn here, so this needed to replaced. Then this outer end, yeah, this is actually quite okay. I might save this as a spare. This one here, you might be able to see that it's totally like coming off there, especially the center bolt is off from the rubber and there's cracks there. Then this outer end, yeah, this is like totally loose. You can see that it returns back there, so it's loose. This has been replaced at some point, and yeah, this seems tight, but the rubber is gone and cracked here, so that's no good. This boot was actually okay. I think the inner end is also okay, and that's okay. So yeah, like these ones here, I would probably been okay just replacing this boot, but these tie rod ends, these are actually really cheap parts, so I got new ones. So yeah, let's take these bushings off these and we can throw in the new parts. Let's take a look at the parts that I got. Most of the parts on this box are from the set that I got from my friend, and then there's some other parts that I ordered. Let's see about these. I think these are something that I did order some time ago. Yeah, these are the outer tire edges. Usually I like to use the Lemferder parts, but nowadays it seems that those are all made in China. So for these I tried the FHC. Let's see if there's a... Okay, these are made in Turkey. Okay, I guess that's better than China. Then we leave that for another video. Cartigo, what are these? Oh, these are the bushings for the front. Then these are the control arms. These are from DRW. I have some clips here because everything is falling apart on the doors. These are the rubber boards for the drive sets. These I probably need to use also. Again, for another video. These are the boots for the steering. So those I need now. Brake shoes. Oh, and these are FHC parts also. Let's see. Okay, these are also made in Turkey. Like that. This is the mount for the transmission. Again, I need that. Yeah, these are for the later video. But yeah, these are the front suspension parts. So I have these control arms here, the bushings, the outer ends for that. Then I have the rubber boots. The tie rod ends. There should be the inner tie rod ends something. Let's take a look at the next box. Here's another box. Here I have the inner tie rod ends. These are Lemferder. Are these made in? Oh, these are even made in Germany. Yeah, that's good. That's rare. These are for the socks. Then this is for my E36. I have some bolts for the rear suspension. Then here I have more Lemferder parts. Yeah, these for the rear suspension. Then I have the new socks for the rear ends because those are busted. These are Bilstein B4. According to the internet, these should be the original ones for the car, but I don't know. Maybe these are, maybe these aren't. This was a little bit weird because the BMW have different parts numbers for the M-Sport suspension and the normal suspension, but then the aftermarket things, they also only had like one part number for everything. And oh, I don't know. This might have been for something special, but I don't know. Well, hope those are okay. Then next box comes from this video sponsor, Autodoc. I'm pretty sure most of my viewers know the Autodoc. But anyways, I like to use their site because for many of the parts there's a lot of different dimensions and sizes and everything listed. So I usually use that for finding all kinds of parts that are not actually like known publicly that they will fit or not. So for example, some drive shafts, because the BMW parts listings, they don't always like tell, for example, the bolt pattern or anything. So the Autodoc site usually has the bolt pattern and everything is marked there, so I can find that which kind of drives fit based on the bolt pattern and the length and everything. That's why I like to use the site. And also I'm pretty old school guy, so I like to do everything on the PC and don't like to use the phone. But anyway, Autodoc also has the phone app that has all kinds of different discounts and everything, so I can show that app here. Okay, so this is the Autodoc app. I can add my car here, so we can use the Finnish registration plate here. So this one for the X5. Like that. Now when I have the car added, I can easily search the suspension parts for that. So let's go for the parts that I did use with this. So we need the suspension arms here, and we need for the rear axle. So it will now filter out everything for the rear axle, and then I can also select the brand here. So I want the DRW ones that I had. So that one. So yeah, these are the parts that I did order. So if we add these to the basket, and we can see the basket here, like that. And there's the discount code PATSI5 that you can use to get the 5% off when you use the Autodoc app to buy things. But yeah, that's how this works, and this is actually quite handy and easy to use. So yeah, you can try out this Autodoc app. But anyways, let's open this box and see what we got from the Autodoc. Oh, we got packing material. I don't even remember what I got. Gates, what are these? Oh, these are the bushings for the stabilizer links, so that's good. I think these are mostly for the rear axle. I have the big bushings here. These are GSP. I think these should be quite okay quality. The other ones were really expensive. These were quite cheap, so I got the GSP ones. There should be 4 of these. Yeah. Then there's Cortico parts. Yeah, these are the squeaky joints, I think. No? Yeah, these should be the joints that usually get broken in these rear ends. Oh, here's another one. Then I have the control arms for the back. These are DLW. Yeah, the control arms, and then the other control arms. So yeah, that's for the back end. So we have the big bushings there, the stabilizer links, then the squeaky joints, and then these control arms. So this should be enough for the rear end. Then of course there's those bushings on the arms that even BMW doesn't carry the part number. So I need to check out how the condition is in those. I think you can get those bushings, but not with the BMW part number. But anyways, this should be okay for the rear end. We have the shocks and everything. So yeah, thanks Autodoc for sponsoring this video. I think we can now continue with the car. Let's install these bushings first. I did put some rust converting paint here to make this look nicer. I will install these bushings and then give a little bit more paint here. But let's put these first. I think there's arrow there and there's this notch here, so those need to align. I didn't want to mess up with these drive shafts here, but the one that is in the car, it's an aftermarket one and it's leaking here. It's leaking really bad and the boot is already cracked and I don't have the proper boot for that. So yeah, but anyways, I need to put something there. This is the original one that came with the car. As you can see, this boot is totally split and I'm pretty sure that this joint is not good anymore because it has been driven like this for some time. So I have this another one here that at least had the boot okay, so I hope this is better. So let's swap in this one and then swap out these rubber boots here then. And let's hope that this works after that. Okay, I don't think this is any good. You can see that rusty looking thing. I think that there has been water inside this or something. And this is like really loose and those bearings feel like really rough and everything. So yeah, I think this has been leaking at some point and there has been water inside here and this has corroded away. So yeah, I think this is crap. I will throw this away. Okay, this is another one that I have. This came from my friend and he said that this makes some noise when you drive this. And he said that it's the outer end, but I think the outer end actually feels exactly the same as everything else. But this inner end, I think this is like, yeah, this doesn't feel any good. So I'm really running out of options here. I think I need to open both of these because this is the other side. And this actually feels really solid here. So I'm thinking that maybe I can use this stub here and use this middle section here with the thing that is okay here. And then use that outer end. It's not optimal because you shouldn't really mix up the sides, but I don't have any option here. So yeah, let's try that and try to look for better drive shaft at some point. Okay, this also feels like there has been water inside there. Yeah, as you can see, it's really nasty looking. It leaked all the way on the floor. There's no rust, but it's like really heavily worn. So I think my only good option now is to take off the good one that I have on the car and try to find suitable boot for that, and let's hope that fix the leak, because it's only the outer boot that is leaking grease. So let's take that off and try to find boot there, and I think there then maybe should be okay. I finally got it. As I said, this rubber boot is not really made for this, because this is like some kind of aftermarket one. You can see that this is totally different than this one, but yeah, this feels really solid, both of these ends, and this didn't make any extra sounds in the car. It was that this was leaking. But I managed to install this boot here. Normally this would be around here, but it seemed that because this turns quite a bit, it was binding everywhere. So I did move this outerwards here. So let's hope that it now works. But at least now it seems that this moves freely and it's not binding this rubber or anything. So let's throw this back on the car and hope that it doesn't leak anymore. The front end is now done. That took more time than I thought it would take. But yeah, this is old BMW. I shouldn't be surprised, but all the new parts are there. Oh, that was still wet. But anyways, these are not tight yet because I need to tighten these when this is on the floor. And then of course these are not set yet, so I will need to align the toe in or toe out when I get this back on the floor. But yeah, I think next we will drop out the exhaust and then start dropping the rear axle to do that one because I think it's easiest to. Yeah, of course I cannot even replace these bushings when this is here up high. I don't know what has happened here. Maybe someone has jacked up in here, and here you can see that the bushing is really gone there. Let's do these socks at this point. I forgot to get new top hats, but these actually feel and look okay, so I will reuse these ones. And of course these original socks use this kind of thing to mount this, and these Bilsteins use different one. I don't know, should I have the Bilstein pulls or something? Maybe I can just move this over because that would be the easiest. Yeah, I think that will do. Okay, those are now done. It's really weird how short the travel is in these socks. Like you can see it here, like this is the part of the bum stop, so it has like 5 centimeters of travel, and then it already hits the bum stop. So I don't know. That seems really weird, but yeah, this is how it is. Time to take this apart. I'm thinking of maybe removing these control arms first. Then I will try to separate this subframe here so that I can push out these broken bushings here. These are huge. I don't know how huge job this is. I have the tool to take this out, but I don't know. Seems difficult. And then of course, when I have this subframe free, I will do something for the rust. Maybe put some paint on this, and then let's throw this back together. Sounds easy, but based on all the rusty crap and everything, this will probably be really annoying. Yeah. Doesn't look fun. I got this apart last night. It was quite a struggle, but not as bad as I was afraid of. Luckily, none of the bolts were like totally seized inside the pusher or anything, so I got all the bolts off intact, so that's really good. No big surprises. All of these ball joints are basically done, as you can see that it always returns to center, and there's cracked rubbers and everything, so yeah, not bad thing to replace all this stuff here. What comes to the rear subframe, I think I will try to now push out those bushings and then give this some kind of wire wheel and then apply rust converter and paint to protect this. I was thinking that maybe I will get this sandblasted, but I don't have time for that now, and it isn't actually that bad, so there's no big rustings. It's mainly just surface rust besides on that point, so yeah, I think I can just deal this with the wire wheel and the rust converter and give this a lot more time to live as it has now.
Rolling launch, tuo flat shiftit ynnä muut.
Mä en tiedä, mikä se on. The rust converter has now worked well, so I think I will now install the new bushings and then get this outside and paint this, because usually when you paint first and then install the bushings, the paint will chip. So yeah, I will put the bushings first and then spray some paint on this. Because yeah, now the rust is converted, but of course all this needs to be sealed now, so I will most likely put some epoxy paint here and then maybe some black paint, and then we can install this back on the car. But it looks fairly good. There was no pinholes or anything, so this wasn't too rusty to reuse in the car, so I'm really happy that I don't need to buy new one. Because this is common problem in this X5 that this subframe this will just rot out, and then of course you need to get new one, and I don't know if you can even get new ones from BMW, and because these are common problem in these the good quantity on used ones, those are really expensive and rare these days, so I'm really happy that I don't need to buy new one. Final piece to remove from this rear axle are these squeaky joints, or whatever these are called in the English world. But anyways, these can be a little bit annoying to remove usually. One of these at least was like a little bit off, so that's totally worn. And yeah, like you can see that these return on the center, so these are both gone, so these need to be replaced also. Let's see how tight these are. These can be sometimes really tight, but I hope that this will come off easily. Let's see. I think I forgot to press record when I tried to install these bushings here. But anyways, while trying to install these, I tried to use the old trick of freezing these bushings and heating up this. That didn't help. Then I tried to use this tool to install these, and I think it got almost fully in, but I think then it was hitting this outer race here. That shouldn't happen, but at least it felt like, so I did put this bearing race here to actually fully seat this. So let's try if we can get this in this way. If not, then we need to get this to the press, and I really hate to do that because we need to then remove the drive shaft and everything. So let's hope that it will go in using this method here. Vaikka se vähän vuotakin vettä sisälle, niin se... Okay. Kusina on rikki.
Ei saatana, tuota sai sää.
Aina pitää ähkästä.
Joo, ei sitä ähkimättä.
Ei oo tiukassa, jos ei kuulu ähkästä.
Ähkimättä ei enää ole missään. Tämä on suurin yhteys. Ei verkkinen se.
Hirvi jopa tulossa siitä ajossa.
Tarvittaa tässä jeesi. Tarvittaa tässä jeesi.
We start to be on the home stretch. The front end is now there. Everything is ready and bolted on. I even put these new arms for these height sensors or whatever these are. Well, anyways, for the headlight aiming system, so these were totally gone, so I did put new ones of those. So everything is okay in the front. I only need to tighten these bushings here. Then if we go back here, the rear end is also done. Everything is there, everything's looking okay. Okay, it would be nice to have like new balls everywhere and new everything, and then maybe clean these, but yeah, this is just winter beater, so I think that's fine, because these balls and everything, these are surprisingly expensive from BMW. On my race cars and those kind of stuff, I like to replace this every time because they will stay looking nice, but this is winter car, so yeah, these will not stay looking nice during the winter, so it doesn't make sense to replace these unless these are so corroded that these cannot be used. But yeah, these bolts seem to be still fine, so yeah, everything's looking good. I did also clean up these, the rust, put some rust converter and same epoxy as in here, and patent these, so these are fine. So yeah, I think now only thing to do is to bolt on the tires and then drop this on the ground and tighten these bolts that are attached to some bushing so that this will align properly. But yeah, let's do that now and we can finish up this video. And I got all the suspension bushing tightened down now, so that's fine. It was really annoying, I couldn't get any video of me trying to tighten those, but luckily this car, it has so much ground clearance that you can actually go down there and tighten those. It's not fun and easy, but you can do that without 4-post lift or anything under the tires or something. So yeah, those are now tightened. I think I will end this video here. There's still a lot of things to do, like the rear lights and all the seals and many different things, so I will probably make another video about this during this autumn or maybe winter, let's see. But at least this video is now finally done, and yeah, we will continue on the next one.